I took a DNA test as a joke, and ended up finding out my entire life was a lie. The woman who raised me isn't my real mom. My birth mother was told I died, and she never stopped looking for me. Now I'm caught between two lives, two families, and a truth I was never meant to know. So I guess this is where I say I never thought I'd be writing one of these. But here I am. My life basically flipped upside down after a $99 birthday gift from my boyfriend, one of those at-home DNA test kits. I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, maybe find out I was 3% Viking or had some long-lost Italian roots or whatever. I never expected it to unravel my entire existence. It started pretty normal. I took the test, spit in the little tube, sent it off, forgot about it for a few weeks. Then the results came back. Everyone else in my friend group was laughing at how basic they were. Oh wow, 80% British, shocking. But mine didn't make any sense. According to the results, I'm 50% Eastern European and the rest is a weird mix that didn't match anything I was ever told growing up. Now here's the thing, I grew up being told I was mostly Irish and a little German. My mom, Diane, had this whole pride thing about our Irish roots. She made a big deal every St. Patrick's Day. Green everything. Shamrocks in the window. That kind of vibe. So naturally, I was like, huh? At first I thought maybe the company messed it up. But then I noticed a section in the app labeled relatives. There was one match that caught my eye immediately. A woman named Linda Harper, listed as close family, possible parent. My heart did this weird drop and lurch thing. Parent? That had to be a glitch. I clicked on her profile. She was in her late 40s, lived a few states away, and had a public profile photo. And guys, she looked like me. Like, a lot like me. Same eyes, same nose, same awkward smile that dips a little on one side. I showed it to my boyfriend, and even he got quiet. He just went, whoa. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I figured maybe she was a cousin or something and the system was just being dramatic. But then she messaged me. Linda. Hi, this might sound crazy, but I think I know who you are. I've been looking for you for a long time. I sat there staring at my phone for what felt like forever. I hadn't even responded when my fingers just started shaking. I didn't know why I was so scared. I hadn't done anything wrong, but something felt off. Like something was cracked open that was supposed to stay buried. So what did I do? I confronted my mom. After I got that message from Linda, the one where she said she'd been looking for me, I didn't open it right away. I just stared at it like it might explode or something. My phone was warm in my hand, but my body felt cold. It was like my whole brain went, don't open that. Don't make this real. I tried to brush it off. Told myself people get weird DNA matches all the time. Algorithms mess up. Maybe she was a cousin or something. Maybe the company just glitched. But it didn't go away. That feeling. That ache in my gut that something wasn't lining up. That night I was at my mom's place. Just me and her, sitting at the kitchen table with takeout containers and the news playing in the background. My dad was out of town, and I figured if there was a time to bring it up, this was it. I casually mentioned the DNA test. Just dropped it into the conversation like it was no big deal, like it was just something funny we all did. She smiled, that tight, polite smile she does when she thinks I'm being silly, and said something about how those kits were all gimmicks anyway. I told her my results came back strange. I mentioned the Eastern European ancestry, which didn't match anything she'd ever told me. She'd always gone on about our Irish roots, our family name, the traditions, the kind of thing she'd bring up every St. Patrick's Day when she dyed the pancakes green. I kept it casual. Said there was a woman who matched with me as a close relative, maybe even a parent. And I asked, lightly, if there was anything I didn't know. My mom froze. Not a blink. Not a twitch. Just still. And then, after a second, she gave a small laugh, like I was being ridiculous. She said those tests couldn't be trusted, that they were just algorithms and not actual science. That was it. No shock. No questions. Just a flat answer and a return to her noodles like I hadn't just dropped a bomb in the middle of the table. I pushed a little harder. I asked if I was adopted. Tried to say it like a joke, but it came out all wrong. Her eyes didn't move from her plate. She waited a beat too long, then said I wasn't. Like that was supposed to be the end of it. But something inside me had already cracked. I couldn't stop. I brought up how there were no baby photos of me, not as a newborn. Nothing before maybe a year old. No baby book. No hospital bracelet. Just me at a park already walking. That's when she snapped. She didn't yell, but her whole posture shifted. She dropped her chopsticks with a sharp clink and told me to stop. Not in a pleading way, in a warning. Like I was stepping over a line she didn't want crossed. I knew that tone. It was the one she used when I brought up my dad working too much, or when I asked why she never talked about her own parents. It was the tone that meant, drop it or regret it. I left early that night. Couldn't stay. My head was spinning. I sat on my apartment floor like someone had pulled the rug out from under my life. And the next morning, I messaged Linda back. She answered quickly. Said she'd been waiting for this moment for years. Asked if we could FaceTime. I didn't think. I just said yes. I sat on the edge of my bed, hoodie on, hair a mess, and stared at the screen while it rang. When she popped up, I swear my stomach dropped through the floor. She looked like me. Not, oh wow, we kinda look alike, no. It was uncanny. Same eyes, same tired expression, same shape of the face. I saw myself in her the way I never saw myself in my mom. She just looked at me for a few seconds and said she thought I was her daughter. Her voice cracked a little when she said it. Not dramatic, just raw. Then she told me everything. She said when she was 19, she got pregnant. The father wasn't around. Her family didn't support her. She ended up at the small, no-name clinic in a rural area because she had nowhere else to go. She gave birth to a baby girl. And a few hours later, a nurse came in and told her the baby didn't make it. No explanation. No body. No time to hold her. Just, your baby died. But Linda never believed them. She said something in her gut told her it was a lie. She tried to ask questions, but no one would talk to her. She didn't have money, didn't have a lawyer, didn't have support. The clinic shut down a few months later and the trail went cold. Still, she kept looking. She searched for years. She scoured adoption records, missing children databases, anything she could get her hands on. She got married eventually and had 2 sons, but she never gave up the search. And when she got the DNA match and saw my face, she said she knew right away. I didn't even know what to say. I just sat there crying while she talked. After the call, I stared at my phone again. I had a missed call. A voicemail. It was my mom. Her voice sounded off, tight, clipped, but also desperate. She said we needed to talk. Told me to come home. Said please. And that's where everything started to fall apart. After that voicemail, I didn't go home. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I went into full detective mode. If my mom wasn't going to give me answers, I'd find them myself. First stop? Our attic. My parents aren't super organized, so there were boxes up there from decades ago. I found the usual. Old Christmas decorations, yellowed school papers, a VHS camcorder that still had a sticky note saying, "Don't tape over." But nothing about my birth. No hospital bracelet. No baby book. No sonogram photos. Not even a birth certificate. Well, that's not totally true. I did find a paper, folded and stuck inside a manila envelope. It was a certificate of live birth, not a standard birth certificate. Issued by some clinic I'd never heard of, in a town I didn't recognize. It wasn't even properly stamped. That's when something in me snapped into place. Like, oh, she really did this. I went back to Linda. I told her about the clinic name, and she just went silent for a second, then said that was exactly where she gave birth. The place that told her I had died. She said she had one contact left. A retired nurse who used to work there. She'd kept in touch over the years, hoping maybe one day she'd have answers. I didn't think the woman would actually talk to me, but she did. Her name was Margaret. I called her one night, nervous as hell, and explained who I was. I didn't even finish the story. She cut in and said she remembered. She remembered the baby girl. She remembered Linda. And then she told me the thing I was dreading to hear. She said a woman came in a day after I was born. Mid-30s, well-dressed, looked desperate but controlled. She talked to the doctor privately. Margaret didn't know exactly what was said, but a few hours later, the baby was gone. Paperwork got changed. Everything sealed up. The doctor retired not long after and moved out of state. That woman was Diane. My mom. She bought me. It took me a full day to build up the nerve to go back. I didn't tell anyone, not my boyfriend, not even Linda. I just got in my car, drove to my parents' house like I was in some kind of trance, and sat in the driveway for 15 minutes, watching the curtains. She knew I was there. She always knew. When I finally walked in, my mom was in the kitchen, wiping down a counter that was already clean, like she needed something to do with her hands. She looked up when I entered, and for a second, just a split second, she smiled like everything was normal. I didn't smile back. I asked her to sit down. She hesitated, then did, folding her hands neatly in her lap. She asked if I wanted tea, and I said no. My voice came out too calm. I felt like I was watching the whole thing from the ceiling. I told her I spoke to Linda. I told her I knew about the clinic, about the nurse, about the truth. Her face didn't change. Not at first. Then, slowly, her eyes welled up. She opened her mouth, closed it again. She looked like someone who'd rehearsed 100 different speeches, but suddenly forgot every single one. Then she said it, not an admission, not an apology, but something worse. She told me she loved me, that I was her daughter in every way that mattered, that she raised me, cared for me, protected me when no one else could. And then she said she deserved to be a mother, that she and my dad tried for years, that nothing worked. And when the doctor at the clinic mentioned a situation, she didn't ask too many questions. She just said yes. She brought me home and convinced herself it was fate. I asked her if she knew that the baby had been stolen, if she knew Linda was told I had died. She didn't answer. Not really. She said sometimes love makes you do crazy things, that I wouldn't understand because I didn't have kids of my own. And that's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She was just sorry I found out. I left before I said something I'd regret. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it had fallen into my stomach. I drove to my dad's office, walked in, sat down, and told him everything. He didn't believe me at first. His face did that blank, confused thing where it's like the words aren't connecting. But then I showed him the documents, the certificate, the messages, the photo of Linda holding me as a newborn. And the way he just sat there, silent, stunned, like the air had been sucked out of him, told me all I needed to know. He hadn't known. Not fully. Maybe he suspected something shady happened, but not this. Not stolen baby shady. He whispered my name once, just one time, and then buried his face in his hands. I asked him if he remembered how he and Diane adopted me. He said she told him it was private, off the books, that it was easier that way. She'd handled it all through some friend of a doctor. He'd believed her, trusted her, built a whole family on her word. He told me he was sorry, and I think he meant it. That night, he didn't go home. He stayed in a hotel. I don't know what he told her. I don't even care. All I know is that by the next morning, my mom had called me 4 times. No voicemails. Just missed calls, like she thought I'd eventually pick up if she rang enough. I didn't. I stayed with a friend that weekend. Couldn't go back to my apartment. Everything felt unreal. I kept replaying her words over and over, the way she said she deserved me, like I was some kind of trophy she'd earned. I don't know what hurts more, the lie itself or how she justified it. Linda offered to fly in, said I didn't have to be alone. I told her I needed a few days. I wasn't ready to be someone's daughter again. Not yet. The weirdest part? I still miss my mom. The mom I thought I had. The woman who used to braid my hair for picture day and sneak me cookies when I was sick. I miss her, but I don't know who that woman was anymore. Maybe I never did. A week later, I flew out to meet Linda. I didn't tell anyone. I just booked the flight, packed light, and tried not to think too hard. My hands were shaking when the plane touched down. The airport felt like a dream. I was there, but not really. Linda picked me up. I recognized her car from the background of one of her photos. It was spotless, like she'd spent hours cleaning it before I arrived. She smiled the second she saw me, but it was the kind of smile that had tears packed behind it, ready to break if I said the wrong thing. She didn't hug me at first. She asked if she could, and I nodded. It was weird. Not bad, just weird. Warm, but stiff. Like hugging someone who should be familiar, but your body doesn't know them yet. Her house was small, cozy, full of family photos. Everywhere I looked, there were snapshots of birthdays, beach days, goofy holiday cards. 2 teenage boys were in almost all of them. Her sons. My half-brothers. When I walked in, the younger one, Tyler, looked curious. Almost excited. He hovered in the hallway, like he didn't know if he was supposed to say something. The older one, Max, didn't even come out of his room. Linda said he was processing things. Translation: he wasn't thrilled about suddenly having a big sister. I couldn't blame him. Dinner was awkward. Tyler asked me a million questions: what music I liked, where I lived, if I'd ever been to a concert. Linda kept watching me like she was trying to memorize everything. Max never showed. At one point, Linda started to cry. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a slow leak of tears while she talked about how empty her arms felt for years after losing me. Tyler got quiet. I stared at my plate. Later that night, she showed me a small box she'd kept hidden in her closet. Inside were a few baby items, a tiny hat, a hospital bracelet, not mine, and a folded newspaper clipping about the clinic shutting down. She said she kept it all because part of her believed I'd come back someday. I didn't know how to respond to that. I stayed in their guest room for 3 nights. The whole time, it felt like I was walking through a life I might have had. The photos on the fridge. The inside jokes at dinner. The way Tyler teased Linda, but always hugged her after. I didn't belong there, but they tried to make space for me anyway. On the 3rd night, Max finally spoke to me. He came in late, leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. He didn't say hi. Just asked if I blamed them for not finding me sooner. I told him no. That none of this was his fault. That I wasn't there to steal his mom or his family. He just nodded once and left. It wasn't warm. But it wasn't cold either. Just human. Before I flew back, Linda drove me to a park she used to go to every year on my birthday. She said she'd sit on the same bench and whisper a wish into the air, just in case I could hear it somewhere. I didn't say anything. I just sat next to her and stared at the trees. I think she wanted me to say, "I love you," or call her mom. But I couldn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. When I got back home, I had 6 missed calls from Diane. And a long text that started with, "I know you're hurting," and ended with, "You'll understand one day." I left it on read. It's been 5 months since everything blew up. It feels like longer, and also like it just happened last week. Time gets weird when your whole identity detaches itself from the foundation you thought it stood on. I'm still in therapy. Still unpacking things I didn't know I'd been carrying. Turns out when your childhood turns out to be part of a crime story, it messes with more than just your sense of self. It messes with trust, with memory, with love. I haven't spoken to Diane since that long text she sent. I didn't block her. I just haven't answered. I don't know what I'd even say. Some days, I miss her so much it knocks the air out of my lungs. Other days, I feel like I'm remembering someone who never existed. Like the version of her that raised me was a character in a play, and I'm the only one left in the empty theater after the curtain dropped. My dad, Thomas, and I talk more now than we ever did. He's been quiet, heartbroken, but honest. I think he blames himself, but he doesn't say it out loud. He's renting a small apartment a few towns over. He doesn't wear his wedding ring anymore. As for Linda, she calls once a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. We don't always talk about deep stuff. Sometimes it's just recipes, a song she heard that reminded her of me, a photo of her dog sleeping like a weirdo. I appreciate the slow pace. No pressure. No expectations. Last week, she asked if I wanted to come down for Thanksgiving. I told her I'd think about it. I still haven't decided. Here's the thing no one tells you about stories like this. They don't wrap up neatly. There's no final scene where the music swells and everything gets resolved. No perfect apology that fixes it all. No DNA test that fills the emotional hole someone left in your chest. I still don't know who I am, not completely. But I'm learning that I don't have to choose between the two versions of my life. I'm not just Diane's daughter. I'm not just Linda's either. I'm mine. I'm the girl who got lost in a system that failed both her mothers. I'm the girl who lived a lie and the woman who walked away from it. I'm the one who stayed when it hurt and left when it hurt worse. And I'm still here. Still trying. Still me. Just different now.